Hey guys, for today's theory, I thought it would be fun to make a case for Sauron being the real good guy in Middle-earth. So I bring to you Sauron, the Misunderstood. In The Lord of the Rings, we witness an epic war story between the factions of Sauron and the peoples of the West. But after all, throughout a war, doesn't each faction truly believe that their cause and what they are fighting for is the righteous morality, and that their enemies are the immoral ones? And exactly why would Tolkien name the books which he poured his heart into after the antagonist of the story? As a famous Sith once said,
"Good is a point of view, Anakin."
throughout the War of the Ring, our perception of the story is merely seen from that of the peoples of the West. And if you were to listen to a trial in a court of law, or any controversial topic which required debate for that matter, and observed only one side of an account, you'd almost certainly believe their narrative to be true or righteous. When you think about it, we don't really get to understand Sauron's perspective. We are just told that he is evil, by his enemies of all people.
The Dark Lord Sauron.
Forged by the Dark Lord Sauron.
There is evil there that does not sleep. And the great eye.
However, to derive actual morality, we have to take a deeper look than just Sauron's individual perspective, and to view the War of the Ring from an external viewpoint. In the prologue of the Fellowship of the Ring, the men and elves form a mighty alliance and march upon Mordor. The War of the Last Alliance lasted for 7 years before Sauron felt it was necessary to confront and harm his invading enemies, before the One Ring was cut loose from his possession by the bloodthirsty and vengeful Isildur. The thief Isildur, who represented the pinnacle of men, being the High King of Gondor and Arnor, characterized the greediness of men when he refused to destroy the ring, which from the peoples of the West point of view represented the uttermost evil. When Sauron, who was murdered yet survived through his entrepreneurial creation, began to regain his strength, he was exiled to Mordor, being imprisoned in a territory that was
The barren wasteland, riddled with fire and ash and dust. The very air you breathe is a poisonous fume.
with all of his followers being segregated to an area with little livestock and clean resources. Sauron was merely attempting to do what was right for his orcs and followers, who were poorly treated throughout their miserable lives. Can we really blame a lord who has so many relying on his leadership for desiring a better life for his followers? How else, other than fighting back in a war which he was cornered into, was he supposed to provide a better life for those who he cared for? Is it truly evil if Sauron was attempting to regain what was rightfully his so that he could escape the imprisonment of his disabled physical form? Could any of us claim that if there was a jewel out there that was crafted by and truly belonged to you, which was withheld by the very people who had once slain you upon your own land and taken the ring which represented your life and freedom, that you wouldn't go through any means necessary to take back what is yours from the snatching thieves? Sauron gave hope to the misrepresented orcs who from the beginning of their lives had the whole system of Middle-earth against them. This resulted in them becoming angry at their subjugated class, and they were forced to strengthen and rebel against those that oppressed them for a better future for their children and their race. It is true after all that Gondor had kept watch over their land, isolating them to the desolate wasteland by force, raising structures of watchtowers and multiple garrisons filled with supremacist men, constantly ensuring that Mordorians were obliging by their rules. There was no immigration policy nor any leniency for those that came from that land. So if the men of the West standardized and judged Mordorians as altogether evil, they ensured that there was no system in place for reform, nor amendment for those that resided in the underprivileged lands that they were confined to. Can you really blame a leader for fighting for what was best for those that devoutly and desperately followed your wise guidance? I know I can't. Now that we have established that the orcs were a subjugated minority, Sauron, unlike his master Morgoth, who desired death and destruction to his enemies, yearned to rule as a valiant leader, imprisoning those that opposed him and broke the rules of his lordship. But which monarchy in Middle-earth doesn't punish lawbreakers and usurpers? Sauron was a megalomaniac who believed an empire under his lordship would have been righteous and altogether brought peace upon Middle-earth. Under his New World Order, there would have been no wars within the land, and Middle-earth would have been collectivized and united. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to stay up to date with more Lord of the Rings content. As always, my Middle-earth friends, hard on for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Lord of the Rings Theory.
Embrace the power of the ring, or embrace your own destruction.
Renewed shall be blade.